Hello, everyone. I want to talk about higher consciousness this time. It is something that is very important for all of us to understand. Because without understanding this component, we don't truly understand ourselves. So, what is higher consciousness? I will have to refer you back to the Bodhi Mantra channel and watch the videos Santos Bonacci puts out about the 5 nations. There are 3 parts, 3 videos. I'm currently on the second one still, halfway through it. Anyways, he clearly demonstrates that our bodies, our animal bodies, used to be just animal bodies, kind of like a spirit animal, if you will. So, for example, as I've learned recently, for my people, where I'm from, the Dacians, which go back 2,000 years ago, which apparently there was a civilization in that same spot 7,500 years ago, because there's so many artifacts from that time period being found. It's unfortunate the world doesn't know about this. It's truly unfortunate. But he clearly demonstrates that after the animal body, there's the plant body. And just think of all the plants there are. And then after that, there's the mineral body. So in essence, consciousness is evolving since it is literally set in stone. It is from the most dense of physical manifestation that consciousness arises. That's why when we think of the earth, we have to think of in terms of what's above the ground and what's below the ground. And when it comes to the densest minerals, they tend to be in the deeper parts of the ground, kind of like an underground society or civilization for those that are made of minerals. Makes me wonder, is the salt of the earth their tears somehow? Anyways, so we evolved from minerals to plants, whether it's a grass or grain or a tree or some exotic plant in the Amazon. Consciousness tends to go through all the phases of the plants for the most part. The root species, if you will. Consciousness experiences what each root species experiences. Same happens when it is in the mineral state. So consciousness starts from, I guess, nothingness. And then it evolves over time to less dense forms, because to go from mineral to plant, you took on a less dense form. And then to go from a plant to an animal, he took on an even less dense form. Because even though there's heavier bulk, the consciousness is so far more evolved that, in a sense, it takes away from physicality in this dimension. And then there's the human, which has the most evolved consciousness of all, which is above the animals. So on this planet Earth, and I call it planet because whether it's a plane or a planet, it really makes no difference. It's only our perception of truth that makes a difference. But if on this planet Earth, human consciousness is the most evolved form of consciousness, then surely there has to be something above human consciousness. The problem is, we can only see up to our eye level. We can never truly see above. We may look up at the sky, but we don't comprehend what we're seeing. We may see the stars, but we don't know the roles they play in the grand scale of things. Our minds simply do not have the knowledge to comprehend this information, because for the most part, it's been erased by history and those that want to control history. But the reality is that if we evolve from the mineral, which is the most dense form, which in a sense you can call it a first dimension, to the plant dimension, which would be the second dimension, and the animal dimension, which is the third dimension, then what is the fourth dimension? Because that's where we're at, the fourth dimension. Fourth dimension is not visible to the human eye. Santos Bonacci, that man knows it all. He's amazing. So if we cannot see or truly comprehend ourselves, this fourth dimension, then how do we even know it exists? How do we even know it influences our lives? Well, the reality is, it's always part of us. Part of us already functions in the fourth dimension. This dimension is called the ether. Everything is connected. Everything is just simply energy. Everything is oneness, but still retains individuality. Everything is just aware of everything else. But see, we're supposed to be in the fifth dimension, because we have to go by the rules of Pythagoras. 1 + 1 = 2. And then 1 + 2 = 3. And then 2 + 3 = 5. Fifth dimension. So you see, there is no standalone fourth dimension. The fourth dimension coexists with the third. So at the same time, the physical body has experienced the fourth dimension, the ethereal dimension is also having experience. Well, if both are you, but you can't see, can't feel the ethereal version of yourself, then how can you ever experience higher consciousness? Because you have to understand that consciousness operates at the level of the electromagnetic fields in our bodies known as chakras. So if your consciousness operates at the root frequency, which is survival, sex, and instinct frequency, it's below the heart chakra, the green chakra, which is the balance between what comes above the heart and what goes below the heart. So if you're just at the root chakra frequency, there's all those other frequencies you have no contact with. And then there's the stomach one. And then above that there's the heart. And then above that there's the throat. And above that there's the higher mind. The higher mind is what's working in there, but you can't consciously see or really feel unless you train yourself to do so. And that is what I do on a daily basis. Train myself to see higher consciousness. Higher consciousness, keep in mind, is an electromagnetic field which supposedly operates in the pineal and above the crown of the head. Okay? So even in the mind, even in the head area, there are multiple electromagnetic frequencies operating at all times. So if you're stuck all the way in the lowest one, the root one, all you care about is food, sex, instinct, money, you never get to experience this. But see, once you experience this, it's very possible to get stuck in only this and never experience what's below. That's just as bad. So the goal is to find a point of neutrality where it's in the heart chakra or electromagnetic field, which is the center of your body, of your being, that all the other chakras come to accept understanding, because it all comes down to understanding, perception of reality, truth. So the idea is that for the most part, the greatest part of our lives, we operate in the chakras that are below the heart chakra, because that is what current society demands of us. Current society is agnostic. This knowledge is gnostic. One represents truth, gnostic. The other one represents lie, agnostic. Agnostic rules our current world from the top down. That's why the less you know, the more you are enslaved. I cannot watch TV now without seeing all the imposed ideas that we should accept as truth, or products we need to try out ourselves, or ideologies we need to adopt to ourselves. It's just so visible to me now. So, for the most part, I operate in the higher consciousness state of being, because every moment of my life I am trying to do what is best not only for myself, but for those around me. And this way, I know I'm always operating at the heart chakra, because for me to understand from a higher consciousness point of view, the lower consciousness point of view, I try to balance my understanding of the lower consciousness based on experience, which I've had plenty of, to reach the middle ground, the heart chakra level. So in essence, I'm always operating at higher consciousness. But for you to do so, you have to want to do so. It starts with the pineal gland. Just research, what is it? How does it function? How is it fluoridated? How do you defluoridate it? And then try out techniques that may appeal to you. What appealed to me was Native American shamanic music while taking long walks and looking around and perceiving reality while listening to stated music, which has now evolved to, as the last month I've only listened to Wardruna, Wardruna, on Spotify. Awesome app, by the way. Being higher consciousness.